Good afternoon, ladies. Hello. I am Floral Laurel, the Fibroid Flower Child, Laurel Couturier, many names. Hi, ladies. I am here today to show you a fun, different kind of way to eat your salad. It's spring rolls. They are an Asian food. They can be Thai food or Vietnamese. I think I've seen Chinese recipes for spring rolls. They're just usually made with shrimp or tofu, and today I'm going to show you how to make it just completely like raw vegan, except for the rice paper wrap. And before I start making the spring rolls with you, I want to put on a pot of brown rice. And so really quickly, I just want to show you how I make my brown rice, and I want to get that cooking. I've already got 2 cups of brown rice measured out, and before I start cooking it, I want to wash it 3 times thoroughly with just tap water. I kind of grab a handful of rice and I kind of grind it among itself and sort of rub it up against the grains against each other, and so that way they sort of wash off any extra dust, I guess, rice flour powder. It ends up being, I think, a little extra stickier if you don't wash off your rice first. And I guess I could show you my water. It's kind of cloudy, and there's some little flecks of bran or pieces of rice flour in there. I'm just going to pour off that water and wash it again. That's twice. This will be the last time. All right, 3 washes. That should be good enough. And now, making rice, I just use a simple 2-to-1 ratio. So I have 2 cups of rice, so I'm going to use twice as much water, 4 cups of water. All right, I've got the rice set to boil. When that's boiling, I'm going to put a lid on it and set it to simmer. In fact, I'll get the lid ready. And getting things ready actually is something I wanted to tell you about. I'm not sure how you say it. I think it's a French name or a French word, but I think it's mise en place or mise en place, where you have everything ready to go ahead of time, so that everything's in place, I think is what it means. And so I've got all my ingredients ready for making my peanut sauce that isn't going to be made using peanuts. And I've got everything ready to go into my spring rolls. I had to do a bunch of prep work, and that's really what I'm getting at, is to do the spring rolls. You want to have everything in place. You want to have all your prepping done. And so I've got my carrots grated, my cucumbers julienned, my cabbage finely chopped, my avocados sliced, my cashews instead of peanuts chopped up for topping. Everything just chopped really pretty small or in matchstick sizes, so that you can roll them up into the rice paper wrap. And before we start making the spring rolls, we're going to make the peanut sauce, but we're going to be using sesame seed butter, tahini, instead. It's ground up sesame seeds instead of ground up peanuts. And so let's get our bowl. And here's the tahini that I'll be using. And you can get it at Sprouts if there's a Sprouts in your area. It's at Whole Foods. It's at most grocery stores, to be honest. I used to shop at Stater Brothers and they had it there. And I looked at a recipe and it called for, I think, a quarter cup of tahini, and then it went on to describe smaller portions of the further ingredients. But I don't really use measuring cup. I a little bit, like to make rice or if I'm baking, but a lot of my cooking I just sort of eyeball it. And I know with spring rolls and with the peanut sauce, I really want a lot of sauce. So I'm going to use more than a quarter cup. I've got this funny little juice cup full. I would say it's about a half a cup of tahini. And to make the peanut sauce, all the ingredients just get mixed together. There's no heating or cooking. So I'm just putting everything into about a cereal-sized bowl. Hi, Gbor. I'm not sure how to say your name, but I'm glad you're watching. I'm Laurel, and I'm showing how to make spring rolls. And it's basically garden spring rolls. Instead of having any meat or any rice noodles in them, it's just salad. So I've got my tahini all scooped into the bowl. And the next ingredient that was called for is lime juice. And I don't have, hi Donna, thanks for watching. I'm showing how to make spring rolls, garden salad spring rolls. I don't have any limes. The recipe called for limes. I'm making the peanut sauce and I'm using tahini butter instead of peanut butter. But I have plenty of lemons. So I'm gonna mix the lemon juice with the tahini butter. And another thing the recipe called for is soy sauce. And I'm not sure if you know, but there's no soy that we do in the Fibroid Healing Academy. It's something of an, I think, endocrine disruptor or something. I'm sorry, I'm not the nutritionist that Cindy G truly is. She's a certified holistic nutritionist, and she really knows what she's talking about when she mentions soy. But a great alternative to using soy is Bragg's liquid aminos. It's still soy based, and so if you want to get really particular like I do, an even better alternative is coconut aminos. And that's similar to Bragg's liquid aminos and similar to soy sauce. It's a little bit thicker and it's a little bit sweeter, but that's okay because the peanut sauce that we're making to go with our spring rolls is sweet anyways. So I'm just mixing all my ingredients together. It called for a little bit of sesame seed oil in one of the recipes that I was looking at, and I don't have any sesame seed oil. I guess I could have not mixed my jar of tahini. When you first get it, there's going to be oil at the top. It sort of separates, and I could have siphoned some sesame seed oil off of that, but instead I'm just gonna go ahead and put some grapeseed oil into my tahini sauce, peanut sauce. And again, I have no idea about portions. I'm gonna taste this once I mix it all together, and I'm gonna go from there. So here's, can you see that? Here's the grapeseed oil. It's a little bit green. Let's see, what else? Oh, the recipe called for garlic. I got a little bit of carrot on the cutting board, so my garlic looks a little orange, but it's just smashed 2 cloves of garlic, and then I just chopped it up really fine. I didn't do my usual thing where I take a fork and I mash it with salt. I just, I kind of like coming across little bits and chunks of garlic when I'm eating my spring rolls and when I'm dipping it in the sauce. So I'm just gonna go ahead and put the garlic, 2 cloves, right in the sauce. And then the recipe called, also some recipes that I've seen, call for green onions or a little bit of white onion minced really finely. And this is way more than I'm gonna use for my dipping sauce. I'm gonna use maybe about 1/3 of this, probably 2 tablespoons. But the rest I'm gonna save for putting in some of my spring rolls. And the recipe also that I was looking at, and I've never done this, so let's hope it turns out good, but I thought it sounded good. It also called for a splash of rice vinegar, so I figure why not? I've got a lot of lemon juice, but a little bit more tang won't hurt because I like things tangy. And the recipe also called for ginger. So I wanted to show you how I handle ginger, how I make fresh grated ginger. Let me turn down the rice, it's boiling. All right, that's gonna simmer. It would simmer for 20 minutes if I was a normal person living in a normal altitude, but I live in the mountains, so that's gonna take about 40 minutes to cook. And that has nothing to do with the spring rolls. That's just part of dinner. I wanted something to go with my salad, my garden salad spring rolls. And honestly, the spring rolls that I got, the wrappers that I got is white rice paper wrappers, which means it's white rice. And I would prefer brown rice paper wrappers, and I have found those online, but I haven't been able to find those in any store yet. And so I didn't have those in time for this video, but nonetheless, I still want to have some brown rice with my meal, not just white goo rice. So back to the ginger. I've cleaned off one side of the ginger and I've cut off any of the extra little nubs. You can see here is some dried, let's see if I can pull back if it shows better. You can see that's sort of dried, and I don't want that in my food, so I'm gonna cut that edge off and make it just a brand new, fresh, clean edge. And then I wanted to show you how to peel the ginger. I left one side covered in the paper, and one side I've already finished, but it's so easy. I learned a trick about how to peel your ginger. I'm sure the way I did it for years was fine. I would just use a knife and cut off the paper, but it's kind of tedious and you waste a lot of the ginger flesh. And so when I came across this trick, I just loved it. You take a spoon and you just sort of rub the rough tip of the spoon, the sort of edge of the spoon, and the paper comes right off. I don't know if you can see it from here, but I'm gonna try to show you. Can you see that? Can you see that? It just comes right off. It's really cool. So I'm just gonna finish cleaning off my ginger, and then I'm gonna grate it on my little fish, my little ginger grater. I'll show you. I have a puffer fish made out of ceramic or porcelain. and it's got little teeth on it to grind up the ginger real perfectly. And again, like I said, it's a lot of prep work. And that's how raw foods is, that's how vegan foods is. I mean, you can get away with a lot of vegan processed junk food nowadays, but that's not what we recommend in the Fibroid Healing Academy and the 21-day Fibroid Fix, because it's really about the fresh foods. It's a lot of produce that we're working with. Ginger is cleaned off, and now I'm ready to grind it up in my little, is that a puffer fish? Oh, I guess that's not a puffer. I guess is that a flounder? Maybe somebody knows. I don't know. But do you see it has little gritty teeth in the middle? That's where I'm just gonna grind up my ginger. And then that's what happens. And then that's going in our peanut sauce, which is not made out of peanuts, but you know what I mean. And ginger is really strong and really spicy, and so it doesn't take much. You don't need a lot, but it's really good for healing fibroids. It's really fibrous, and really, you know, fibrous foods fight fibroids. And plus I really love ginger. I use like double what Cindy G calls for in her green smoothies recipes. And so she usually says to use a thumb of ginger and a thumb of turmeric, and I tend to use 2 thumbs of ginger and 1 thumb of turmeric. But I really love ginger, so I'm making sure that I get a whole bunch into this tahini sauce, dipping sauce, whatever you call it, sauce, spring roll, garden sauce. So I've gone through about half of the ginger root, and you can see a lot of fibers left over, and you can also see how much I've gotten so far. And that's plenty for now, so I am going to scoop that into the bowl. Kind of have to scrape at the ginger to get it out of the little ceramic teeth, but it's nice and ground up easily that way, and it's still fresh ginger, not dried ginger. And then let's see, the recipe that I saw, I had never actually tried this, but I saw a recipe that called for some garlic chili paste. And so instead I thought, that's so funny, I just use garlic and chili flakes. So I wanted to show you the chili paste. We have some in the fridge, but I haven't been using it because I can grind up my own fresh ginger or garlic, and I can just use crushed red pepper flakes. And so that's what I have here. That's just going into our tahini sauce too. And the last thing that I have, I would typically use some agave syrup to sweeten this sauce a bit more. The coconut aminos has some sweetener in it, but not as much as you're gonna want for the typical taste that peanut sauce has. And so instead of agave syrup, I have coconut sugar. And I have no idea how much coconut sugar I should be using, so I'm just gonna start with a spoonful and take it from there. That is sort of how I cook, so that's what I encourage you to do as well. If you taste as you go along, you'll start to really become acquainted with the fresh flavors and the differences in the flavors, and just getting used to more, simple cooking is what I recommend. So I'm gonna try 3 giant teaspoons of the sugar. They were definitely heaping teaspoons. I'm just gonna finally mix all the ingredients together. You guys can't see what I'm doing, so I'm gonna back up and I'm just gonna try to do this on camera. If you guys can see me. I'm just sort of gently mixing all the ingredients together. Just sort of twisting the bowl, turning the bowl, getting everything really mixed together, making sure that the tahini sort of mixes with the lime juice. And I have no idea about the oil. Like I said, I haven't made peanut sauce with sesame oil, but it sounded good. And so I did want to add the oil. So let's see. It's delicious. As always, I would say add more sugar, but I'm going to be gentle about it. I'm going to go lightly about it. But peanut sauce is sort of a spicy sweet sauce. The other thing is it's basically salad dressing. And honestly, I'm gonna make a bunch of these spring rolls for dinner tonight, but I'm also gonna make some of them into lettuce boats. I'm gonna take little romaine lettuce hearts and just fill them like instead of lettuce wraps, little boats instead of spring rolls, so that I don't have quite as much white rice. I don't really want a bunch of white rice wrapped spring rolls. Just because I want the whole grain, I want all the fiber that I can get. So here's what our sauce looks like so far. Let's taste it again now that there's more sugar. And again, I'm joking about the sugar. I haven't had white table sugar in years. It's definitely a no-no, but we do find alternatives that work. And so I'll work with coconut sugar and I'll work with agave syrup. And I know some people really like stevia. I recommend that if you like it. I happen to think it tastes like saccharin. I'm not really a fan of saccharin. And that is some good sauce. I like it. I like it. Okay, I'm gonna set this aside and start making my spring rolls. One thing that I also was considering adding to my spring rolls is some berries. And so I soaked my berries. I washed them in some cold water with a splash of apple cider vinegar to make sure that any mold was killed. And then I patted them dry to make sure that no berries are sitting in moisture, so they'll just end up soggy. And then waiting to make this video, I just put the damp towel that I had dried all the berries in, I just put them over my berries waiting to make this. And that is something that I would recommend when you're making your spring rolls, to get a towel, get it damp, and lay a damp towel over the spring rolls that are already built as you're making them, so that they don't dry out. And as you can see, you can use the same dish towel that you used for drying your berries to keep your spring rolls moist. To do the spring rolls, to get the spring roll wrappers pliable and moistened, I'm gonna do some hot water in a low dish. I've tried before and I've read before that when you're making spring rolls, you need boiling water and you need to dip the rice wrappers in boiling water or soak them in boiling water. And I've found that to be not true. I found that hot water works just fine. And I found that even cold water actually, I mean, I haven't tried it with ice water. I haven't tried it in the dead of winter, I suppose, but I first learned how to make spring rolls at a party. There was a lady, a chef, who was at the party teaching us all how to make spring rolls. And it was super fun. But yeah, so just standing there with guests making their own spring roll and then another person making it, like the water didn't stay hot. And the lady was like, that's fine, just dip your wrapper, it's fine. And she was right. So the trick to the rice paper wrappers is hot water if you have it. And the rice paper wrappers that I found today, or yesterday, excuse me, are square. So luckily I have a dish that's low and square, and so I'm just gonna pour the water into that dish for dipping my rice paper into. And this is the rice paper that I found. Again, I've never seen square rice paper. This is actually right here. I'll show you. This is the kind that I've used before. I don't have very many of those left though, so I just went and bought some new rice paper. But again, what I really recommend is Amazon or something like that, where I found some brown rice paper wraps, which I've tried them before. They're a little bit chewier. They're a little bit gummier, so what are you gonna do? I'm okay with it because it's brown rice. And a typical spring roll is a rice paper wrapper, like I said, with shrimp or with tofu, but it's typically then romaine or some kind of lettuce or some kind of cabbage, along with carrot, cucumber, avocado sometimes, and sweet mini peppers or some bell peppers sometimes. You may have some basil sometimes in your spring rolls. And you'll have then on the side, your garnish will be a lime wedge with some crushed peanuts and some chili paste, some sambal oelek. And again, instead of the sambal oelek, I'm just gonna have some chili flakes. And instead of the crushed peanuts, I'm doing crushed cashews. And instead of lime, I don't have any lime, so I'm doing lemon. So we're shifting it all kinds of up in this version of Laurel spring rolls, garden spring rolls, salad spring rolls. But beyond those typical ingredients that you'll tend to find when you go out for spring rolls, there's a plethora of ideas and a plethora of, you can put in whatever you want. You can find what you like and find what works for you. And so I chopped up a bunch of other stuff just to have fun, just for other ideas. I chopped up some mango. I chopped up some cabbage really finely. You could do some sprouts, some microgreens. You could do some grated beets or jicama. I included some apple slices. It's like I showed you some raspberries and some blackberries. And I mean, you could even do watermelon or cantaloupe. I mean, get creative, right? Put in what you like. Because it's a sweet tahini sauce, the fruit tends to lend itself really well to the garden salad spring rolls. I also have been growing some kale. I haven't been able to get it to grow very big because I keep picking it. So we've got baby kale. And I've also got some asparagus and some sun-dried tomatoes. So got all kinds of fun stuff to try making all different kinds of spring rolls. And I'm no expert at wrapping and rolling up spring rolls. You're gonna learn with me as I learn because I've done it plenty of times before, and sometimes they turn out awesome and sometimes they're a terrible mess, and either way they're delicious. So let's try this together. The rice paper wrapper is just like, looks like a shiny thin sheet. And then I'm just gonna dip that in the plate of water and I'm gonna pull it out. I dipped like, I guess the front and the back. You can see it's kind of dripping. I don't want it to be dripping. I want to keep those drips. So I'm just gonna dip it again really quick and then I'm gonna put it onto the cutting board and I'm ready to start working. I'm gonna start with some romaine. And I'm going to start about not quite in the middle, a little bit closer to my tummy, a little bit closer to myself so I can start rolling it away from myself when it's ready to go. I'm going to put some romaine and I've got some cilantro, another awesome deep leafy green if you happen to like cilantro. I've got the baby kale. Just gonna take a couple of pieces of each. Not gonna really fill up my spring roll too much because it'll get filled up quickly. Let's see. Got some asparagus. It's super tiny baby asparagus and I cut it short so that it would fit inside the spring roll. Sweet mini peppers. I've got yellow and red sweet peppers. And I'm just gonna put a couple of little matchsticks. Again, I really have just chosen the veggies that I love. I happen to love sweet mini peppers. I happen to love a sweet version of a salad. I mean, I like savory foods as well too, but I really love a sweet tahini dressing. I think definitely have to put some avocado slices in every spring roll. Or else, what's the point of spring rolls? My avocado, honestly, especially now that I'm vegan, and avocado is like the meat instead of the tofu or instead of the shrimp. I'm gonna put a few slices of avocado. I think we're about ready to go. I'm going to put a few sticks of some cucumber, sprinkling of carrots, get a good rainbow going on. Hope I didn't take too long because I don't want this to stick to the cutting board. And it's sticking. We might have to start over on this one, ladies. But that's okay. That happens to the best of us, right? All right, let's try this again. I'm going to move all of my treats over to the side and start with a new one. And that's definitely something you want to consider, making sure, I suppose, that your cutting board is a little bit damp. I tried it before and it was a little bit too wet, and so I'm learning how to work with a wood cutting board. It's olive wood, but I love it better than having to use plastic, because even though the plastic cutting board that I had that was BPA free, it's still, you could see the cuts and you could see that some of it's getting into our food eventually somehow. And honestly, that is really stuck on there. So we're just gonna flip that cutting board over and clean it later so you don't have to watch me do the dishes. So let's get the cutting board wet on this side. And again, I'm going to take a rice paper wrapper. I'm just going to dip it in water. It's a little bit still rough and crunchy when you dip it. It'll soften while you work on it. Like you saw the previous one, just start to stick to the cutting board. It completely softened to the point of becoming gummy. So I better hurry. I put all the ingredients in the middle, kind of like a burrito. I leave room on the sides so I can close those up. And I've seen other pictures where people make their spring roll wrappers where you roll in the sides first. But I don't think it matters so long as you get it to close. We've got our first spring roll. I'm going to get the plate just a little bit wet because again, we learned our lesson that spring rolls are sticky. And I'm going to put my raspberry stained damp paper or cloth towel over my spring roll so that it doesn't dry out and become sticky again. And we're on spring roll number 2. By about the 10th spring roll, I'll have this down. And then I won't make them again for a few weeks or a month, and then I'll have to start over and become a beginner all over again. But it's fun. It's a way to play with your food. It's a way to have fun in the kitchen, turn the music up, put on some heels, put on some earrings, do your thing to enjoy yourself. If you're in a rush, this probably isn't the best recipe to go with because it does, like I said, it does take a lot of prep. And I'm just getting my rice paper wrap wet again. I'm going to use a couple of pieces of romaine. And I'll make a traditional one this time. I'm going to do some cucumber sticks, some carrot. Let's do a little bit of cabbage. Definitely avocado, avocado, and more avocado. And a pinch of the cilantro. And I'll show you ladies. I just grabbed the top of the cilantro bunch and just cut it off the top, and I just really roughly chopped the cilantro. I didn't really bother with chopping it finely. You can make it as fine as you want to, depending on how much you want. I happen to love cilantro, and I wanted it kind of big and leafy and rustic. And let's roll this up. Now, if you get really good at making your spring rolls, what you can do is you can plan ahead and put down the prettiest ingredient first, so that when you roll up your spring roll, the top of it looks like a pretty avocado instead of a mess of salad. But either way, they're still delicious. My third spring roll, I'm at the point now where the water in the dish that I'm using to wet my rice wrapper is lukewarm at best. It's basically room temperature, and it's still working just fine. I'm going to use a little bit more, just one more dip. And then I think I'm going to go with a more fruity version this time. Again, I'm going to take a couple of pieces of the lettuce, and I've got some mango and some green beans. They're raw green beans, they're fresh, and I just cut them into like French julienne kind of slices, just really long little matchstick strips. But I think that'll add a really nice crunch to, compared to something like, the mango that's really soft and delicious. So let's put some green beans and some mango together. I have no idea if I'll like that, but I have a feeling I will. Because again, I'm working with all the vegetables that I chose because I like them to begin with. Or fruit, I should say, not just vegetables. And I'm definitely going to go with some avocado slices. I put about 2 avocado slices in each spring roll, but if they're tiny avocado slices, then I might have to put a little more. I've also got some apple that I cut up into sort of matchsticks. And so I'm going to put some apple in my mango, green bean, avocado, lettuce wrap. I'd put about 4 or 5 matchsticks, depending on how much of all the other ingredients you end up using. And I think it's time for some berries. What do you think? Again, raspberries and blackberries, they were on sale at Sprouts, and so I couldn't resist. My husband makes fun of me that I always buy too much raspberries, but I don't care. I love them. They're my thing. And let's hope I didn't chat too long. Let's hope this didn't stick to the board. Ah, come on, my baby. Don't stick. Don't stick. We're barely surviving. It's pretty sticky. I would recommend a plastic cutting board if you have one, but I don't know if that would help. Nonetheless, it's still good food, and it managed to roll up mostly, so I'm sticking with it. But this guy isn't ugly. This is embarrassing, but this is me. This is how it really turned out. And like I said, it'll be delicious, so I'm not getting rid of this one. It's fruit. It's so sad. I love it. It's my little sad, fruity darling. And the next spring roll that I'm going to make, I guess I'll just show you guys, goddesses, ladies, I'll just show you a little bit more. See that there? See me putting water on the cutting board? I'll just show you a little bit more of what vegetables I've chosen to work with. So again, I'm going to start with my base is my greens. And they're not very green greens. And then I'm going to add some of my amazing baby kale that grew in my garden. I love you. I've also got some tomatoes here, some sun-dried tomatoes that I did dry them myself in the dehydrator, and then I rehydrated them just about an hour before now. I just have been soaking them in some water. So I'm going to put a couple sun-dried tomatoes in. And I'm going to use some of those green onions from our tahini sauce. I'm going to use, of course, some avocado, some cucumber, some carrot, some cabbage. I'm just playing around, just having fun, and I'm not taking too long. This one is not falling apart. But yeah, they get kind of gummy if I wait too long. Again, maybe on the next one I'll be able to remember to consider putting down something pretty first. I've seen it even where there's flowers in there. Usually that's where you see like 1, 2, 3 pieces of shrimp. But we see salad. We've got 4 spring rolls done, ready to go. This is gonna be an awesome dinner, ladies. Thanks for watching. I'm gonna make one more if you're at all still interested. And again, I'm just gonna make sure that my cutting board is wet. And I'm just gonna take my rice paper, I'm just gonna put it in the dish of water. I'm gonna pull it right out, put it in the dish of water, like flip the sides maybe, just so that I know it got really wet on both sides. But it's not about soaking it, and it's not about leaving it in for a length of time to soak it, or it will gum up too quickly. And so let's see, how can we make this pretty to start? Let's try berries again. We've got to try berries again since our first one was so sad and just wilted and half ripped. Okay, so I've got berries. Now my base again, my romaine lettuce. I'm gonna do some cucumber, definitely some avocado, and I think mango. I love all the colors. You know, honestly, I think I'll also try some of the sweet pepper with the mango and the avocado and the cucumber. Who knows? We'll see what we like. And then just ready to roll it up. I wish that I could get the camera closer for you to see. You see that? I just fold it over, and then I sort of fold the sides over as well, like a little envelope. And then I just keep rolling. That one's a little bit better. What do you think? Better than our first, huh? Got a spring roll ready to go. So here we have things started. Let's see if I can show you. What do you think? Does that look appetizing? Does that look like a fun way to eat your salad, to eat your greens, and to play around with your food and to enjoy some colorful vibrancy into your meal? I'm very excited about this, and I'm gonna turn off the video now and get back to finishing making the other 20 of these that are now on my to-do list. I want to thank you guys for watching. Thanks for being with me. Thanks for letting me talk too much about vegan food and healthy cooking and healthy living and getting rid of fibroids. I did it. You can do it. I believe in you. We're all in this together. You know, what's so funny, I was thinking about it is, you know, it's a real lifestyle change that's a commitment even now that I'm healed, because, you know, one of the funny things that happened once I was healed is I suddenly realized, like, wait, how did I do that? What do I do to keep it going? Like, wait a minute, I have to keep doing this. I have to know, like, I have to hold the energy, and I have to eat right, and I have to sleep, and I have to do my yoga. And so it's a lifestyle. I'm here with you. We're all in this together. I'm really glad that we're all in this together. I really need the Fibroid Healing Academy and the 21-day Fibroid Fix to help me reset and to help me do the juice cleanse. And if you haven't done the juice cleanse yet, I highly recommend it. I just finished mine yesterday. I felt so good. I went to a jump circle full moon goddess party last night after finishing my cleanse. I was like, this is amazing. I love my goddesses. This is so much fun. Girls who drum. So I encourage you to eat a vibrant, rainbow, delicious salad, spring roll dinner, and get back to me and let me know how it was. And I'll see you soon. Thanks for listening. I'm out.